David Morales, and I'm the state representative for House District 7 in Providence. And I'm here to ask that the DPUC delay the transfer in Narragansett Electric to the PPL Corporation due to several concerns, many of which have been risen throughout this testimony and throughout this hearing. And most notably, I really want to focus on the potential impact that this transfer will have on our utility rates and ultimately the working people of Rhode Island, who are the ratepayers. So as noted by several interveners within their written testimony, along with the lack of information that was provided by PPL, definitely prior to the weekend, there have been several unanswered questions which indicate that Rhode Islanders will experience higher gas and electricity rates. So given that PPL's inexperience with renewable energy, along with their inexperience regarding more so the municipal aggregation programs and somewhat the interconnection process, it has been concluded that PPL will experience significantly higher operating rates than National Grid does currently. So despite these higher costs, PPL has not fully demonstrated if or how ratepayers would be protected from hikes in their utility rates in order to offset some of these higher operating costs. It is also unclear as to the cost of PPL's transition to set up and serve Narragansett's customers and the impact that ultimately will have on ratepayers. Now, I understand that additional items were submitted over the weekend, but I think that further incentivizes the fact that we need to delay this transfer in order to better fully assess the materials that were provided. Now, given that PPL has also not presented a mitigation plan to protect ratepayers during this transition period or throughout the height of higher operating costs, I'm extremely concerned that our communities, especially within the urban core, again, the working people of Rhode Island, will experience higher utility costs at no fault of their own. Instead, it will be due to a lack of planning and consideration from a corporation that potentially may be ill-prepared to expand into the state of Rhode Island. And while I understand that, again, PPL has shared broad statements claiming that ratepayers will not be hurt by increasing costs, that is not the same as presenting, again, a plan or concrete commitments that will hold legal weight. Again, I understand additional materials were provided during the weekend, and I imagine throughout this week they will be vetted by the Attorney General's office along with other interveners. So while rate hikes are subjected to approval from the PUC, and that's important to note, there have been several cases over the last several years where rate hikes have been approved swiftly when presented by National Grid, despite community opposition, because of the fact that they present a quote-unquote net benefit to the customer. Therefore, I am highly concerned, and it is possible that whether it is within the first 5 years, that PPL will present a rate case before the PUC where they will ask that ratepayers fund a transition costs that will drive up rates in the short term, but are then going to be justified by some of the savings over the long term, hence the quote-unquote net benefit. So we can and must avoid being in such a situation in the first place, again, given the lack of transparency and some of the last-minute resources that have been provided to the public and the DPUC. So there is a reason, again, why nearly every intervener could not conclude that ratepayers would be protected from rate hikes as a result of this transfer. So clearly, this transfer of our utility system in its current form is not in the best interest of the public. Therefore, I'm just asking that the DPUC at the given moment delay the transfer in Narragansett Electric to the PPL Corporation. So please do not prematurely vote to approve this transfer. All that said, however, I do hope that this period can serve as an opportunity for our state government, such as members of the General Assembly like myself, to seriously consider the plausibility and benefits of having public ownership over our utility system, as opposed to being dependent on any for-profit energy company focused on their bottom line and the interest of shareholders. The people of Rhode Island deserve utilities that they can afford. We need to protect working people from rate hikes because it is unfair that we continue to see annual increases year after year, again driven by profit motive and the companies, not the well-being of being able to deliver utilities effectively to the customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Morales.